What's going on, everyone? Mir Cringe here. In this video, I'm going to be doing Overrated, Underrated Dragon Ball Edition. And basically, I'm just going to be doing, I'm going to go over a list of Dragon Ball characters and label them whether I believe they are overrated or underrated. And again, it's my personal opinion. And if you guys do have one, put down in the comments whether you believe one of these Dragon Ball characters are overrated or underrated. And the first off, we're going to go with is Goku. And he's going to be overrated. There's nothing negative about it. I mean, there's a lot of negatives actually, but mainly is that he's the popular character, he's the main character. People won't stop talking about him when it comes to like debates, mainly on versus battles like Goku versus Superman, Goku versus Saitama, just anyone strong in particular in their universe. And then they're gonna try to debate whether Goku can, can he beat that? Can he beat Goku? The next Dragon Ball character is going to be Vegeta. Vegeta, I would put him in overrated as well. I mean, he's also a popular character, and if people don't like Goku because he's a good guy, then they're obviously going to be picking Vegeta because he's the anti-hero, or like he's not the, he's the cool one. Nothing wrong with picking Vegeta as your favorite, but we're going to move on with Piccolo. Piccolo is going to be underrated for sure. Even though with his new power, power up, new transformation in the new Dragon Ball Super movie, the new transformation which puts him up there with the likes of Goku, Vegeta, Gohan in terms of power scaling. And obviously, even though he's like one of the top strongest, I believe he's still like an underrated pick. Like, people still downplay him because he's not like Saiyan level or anyone like basically a Saiyan level of strengths. But so yeah, I still believe that Piccolo is still a pretty underrated choice or underrated character. The next Dragon Ball character is Trunks. Trunks, I gotta say, I think he's also overrated. Even though he's a pretty popular character in terms of aesthetic, people will have him in their profile picture, mainly Future Trunks when he has his long hair, and he's the most popular pick when it comes to aesthetics. So that's why I personally believe that he's an overrated character in terms of like popularity and people fangirling over him or fanboying over them because because he's the handsome one. We're gonna move on to Android 18. Android 18, I personally believe, is overrated in terms of the most popular Dragon Ball female character. So I don't think no explanation needed, except when it comes in terms of like these fan sites, if you know what I mean. The next Dragon Ball character is Tien. Tien is underrated. I think he's got the credit mainly for the Cell fight, holding Cell on his own, and even though when he's human and he's not even up there in power level, but he still holds him down. And still people, that's his like pretty much his people would talk about when they believe that he's underrated. But yeah, Tien, even though he's a side character, he still holds his own, still trains, and he's still pretty strong. So yeah, not a lot of people talk about him, so I personally believe that's why Tien is underrated. The next character is gonna be Beerus. Beerus, I would say, is overrated. He's another popular character when Dragon Ball Super was around, and that people like him because he's his personality, the laziness, but also like even though he doesn't do much in terms of like because he's not the main character at all. Even though he doesn't do much, people still pick him as popular. Now thinking about it, I don't know, because he hasn't really done much aside from the movie. You know what? I take that back. I will put him in the well-rated. I'm gonna put that in a new category if I can't really decide. If I can't really decide if that character is underrated or overrated, I'll just put him well-rated. Next up is Gohan. Gohan is also a confusing one. I might have to put him well-rated as well. I'm leaning more on the overrated side when it comes to like his popularity, but like I don't know. I would say he's more well-rated, but leaning more on the overrated side, I would say. The next Dragon Ball character is Goten. Goten, I would put him underrated. He really hasn't done much, hasn't aged up as much. And yeah, I haven't really seen a lot of Goten, content because, what else is there to say? But he has, for sure, he does have a lot of potential. But yeah, as far as I've seen from Goten in the Dragon Ball series, I'll have to put him in underrated. So the next Dragon Ball character is Android 17. Android 17, I would say underrated. I was considering put well rated, but then There's a Dragon Ball GT with this, the Super Android 17, which I don't even know how that happened, but it happened. But we'll move on from that. But other than that, I haven't really seen much of Android 17 lately, except for Dragon Ball Super when it comes to the Tournament of Power. So I mean, especially when it comes in clutch right at around the end of the series. But other than that, I think he's a pretty underrated character. So yeah, I would say that. We're gonna move on to another Android 16. It's a name that I haven't said in a long time or heard of a long time, but because of that, I'll put him underrated. He tried his best. As far as I remember, he sacrificed himself, even though he was like potentially the bad guy as he's programmed, but he's got a lot of heart when it comes to like nature and life. And yeah, I would say he's underrated. There's nothing else much to say about Android 16, so I would say he's underrated. We're gonna move on to Majin Buu, the fat version, and I would say he's underrated. I mean, obviously he's underutilized a lot in Dragon Ball Super because if they use Majin Buu, that kind of fixes a lot of problems, mainly from the Tournament of Power. He has a lot of potential when he was really super fit, and yeah, he could have been a really great asset to the team and possibly could have beaten the Tournament of Power a lot more sooner instead of with Frieza. But who knows? Kid Buu, I would say he's overrated. All he is a villain. He's a maniac, crazy villain, or as he's intended to be as a villain, and he played his role well, and there's nothing else much. So I would say he's well rated. Kid Buu, not the Fat Buu, because Fat Buu has like a lot more depth to his character, but Kid Buu is kind of like one-sided. I don't know how do you say it, but he's kind of flat, but it's like in a good way, because like, oh yeah, people like that. So I would say he's well rated, but leaning more on the overrated side in terms of popularity when it comes to Dragon Ball villains. Move on to Bulma. Bulma, I would say is underrated. No, I would say she's well rated. As much as she's an OG, she's been there since day one, and she's still useful to this day because of Capsule Corporation and her technology and kind of stuff. And yeah, that's gonna wrap up for today's video. I know there's a lot more characters I missed out on, so comment down below if you want a part 2, and be sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.